I get asked this question all the time on podcasts, and I absolutely hate it. It's my least favorite question. It is, if you had to go back and do it all again, what would you do differently? And there's a couple of reasons that I really dislike this question. First, I believe you can't change anything without changing everything. So we can't just go back and pick and choose and say, oh, that failure, I really didn't like that when this thing happened, and therefore if I could get rid of that, that would be great. But you can't change the failures without also then affecting the successes, because we learn the most through our failures. We grow the most through the discomfort of being outside of our familial zone in a place where we have to adapt and grow and overcome. So you can't just go back and change the failures and expect the successes still to follow. So you can't change anything without changing everything. So there's that aspect. The other aspect of this question that I really dislike is the fact that what you're really doing, and Warren Buffett alluded, he answered this question at a shareholders meeting. Somebody said, how do I get rich like you? And Warren rightly, or maybe it was even Charlie Munger, rightly pointed out, he's saying, what this man is asking isn't how to get rich like me. He's asking how to get rich like me, but faster, right? It's this idea that if I can learn from your mistakes, I can somehow accelerate the process and get to where you are, but faster. And I absolutely agree. We want to compress decades into months and months into days and days into hours. We want to model the behaviors of people who come before us and say, this is what worked for them, and therefore it will work for me. But at its core, understand that you can't accelerate that much just by pointing to a couple of little levers. If I had done this earlier, if I had done that earlier, then I would have magnified my returns by 1,000x or anything like that. It doesn't work quite in that way. And so the answer that I typically give is actually give two answers. One is, if I was younger and I was talking to somebody who's in their early 20s and they're saying, what should you focus on? You should focus on these two things. The most important investments that you can make is in yourself and in your network. So start with yourself and recognize that you are not good enough yet to win the game of business or investing or whatever it is, but that's okay, because you have the most valuable thing on your side, which is time. And if you apply that time consistently, persistently, with discipline towards acquiring skills, then on a 10, 15, 30-year horizon, you're going to be absolutely unstoppable. So when you're young, you should be bending over and picking up every single shiny object you come across, because you don't know yet which one is gold and which one is just fool's gold. So you need to learn, you need to pick up everything and try and say, I like this, I don't like this, because you don't know what you're good at yet. You don't know what you really suck at yet, because you haven't spent enough time and experienced enough of the world yet. So go and acquire experiences and skills. The skills that are going to best serve you are the ones that are going to transfer regardless of industry, of occupation. So things like, how do I communicate my thoughts with the world? How do I think more clearly? How do I make better decisions? Those are the types of skills that are going to serve you well all throughout life. Not the technical things of like, how do I do advanced calculus? Math is great. Math is one of those skills that you should definitely go get, but understand, we're not trying to become very hyper-focused masters at this point in our progression of any one particular thing, because we don't know yet what direction or path we're going to go. And in life, my experience has been, you might start down one path and then very quickly change paths, or maybe very slowly. But the path that you start on is very rarely the path that you're going to be on in 5 years or in 10 years. And so it's good to have visions of where you want to go, but be flexible and adaptable. And so the second thing I would recommend to young people, if I had to go back and do it again, I would maybe try this. But again, you can't change anything without changing everything. But if you're young and you still have time on your hands and you're writing your story as you go, focus on investing in your network, the people around you, in the relationships. I think a lot of people, they look at the word networking and it feels dirty, because it feels like maybe we're intentionally manipulating people into wanting to do business with us or to build relationships, but it's not really that. It's just intentional relationship building. And that is the thing that I struggled with when I was younger. And now that I'm older, I realize that I could have been much further along in life had I been investing in my network, my relationships a bit better. But now that I know that, I have the gift of hindsight to be able to look back and say, this is what happens by not doing that. And so for the next 10, 15, 20 years, I have the opportunity with the gift of knowledge that if you don't do it, it doesn't help. And so I have a little bit more conviction moving forward than when if I was 20 and going back and trying it all again. If you told me invest in your network and your relationships, I probably would have gone, yeah, I get it. So that's my least favorite question. If you had to go back and do it all again, what would you change? My answer, nothing. But if you're just starting out and you want to know how to get to where I am, but just quicker, well, focus on investing in yourself, get those skills, and invest in your network. That's the way to do it.